I never imagined that a single dad's struggle would lead to an unbelievable twist of fate. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sunlight poured into the kitchen, but it felt like darkness had wrapped itself around my heart. I stood there, hands trembling, staring at the empty chair where my daughter used to sit. Tears rolled down my cheeks like the rain outside. It was just me now. Me and the mess of bills piling on the countertop, echoes of a life once filled with laughter and warmth. I thought the hardest part was losing my wife. But that was just the beginning. My daughter, Lily, was always my light. Her bright blue eyes sparkled with curiosity. I could picture her now, drawing her chaotic masterpieces on our living room wall, giggling as I tried to scrub the crayon marks away. But she wasn't there. The silence was drowning me. I still remember that day. I was running late for work. Lily had been sick. I should have stayed home. A tight knot clung to my chest. I heard her voice echo, "Daddy, please don't go." The way she looked at me with those big, pleading eyes tore me apart. I brushed it off. Just a few hours, pumpkin. He'll be back. How could I know those words would haunt me? That evening, the phone rang, slicing through the stillness. I had never anticipated it would change everything. The doctor's voice was cold and sharp, cutting deeper than any blade. "I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson, but there's been an accident." I raced to the hospital, heart pounding, the world around me blurring into a haze. Flashes of red and blue lights swirled as my mind screamed for clarity. I could hear my own heartbeat echoing in my ears, louder than the sirens. Lily was stable, they assured me. But stable wasn't good enough. I sat in that sterile waiting room, the clocks ticking like a countdown to my heart's demise. I could practically feel the despair seep into my bones. Hours stretched like days. Anxiety gripped me. The waiting was torture. Then, just beyond the frosted glass doors, a figure appeared, a stranger in a long coat. He had an air of mystery. He walked with a quiet confidence, something unsettling in his gaze. I wanted to look away, but I felt as if he was pulling me in, drawing me toward a dark knowledge. "Mr. Anderson?" he asked, his voice a raspy whisper like the wind that haunted me. I nodded, fear splayed across my chest. What did he know? My eyes darted to the nurse's desk. She was staring at him, wide-eyed, as if he were a ghost. "I have something important to tell you." His words hung in the air, heavy with weight. My breath hitched. What could be more important than my daughter? Just then, a commotion erupted behind me. I turned to see nurses rushing past, their faces drawn tight with urgency. My heart dropped. "Lily," I shouted, panic clenching around my throat. But the stranger grabbed my arm. "You need to listen." His words died in the noise around me. My world was spiraling, caught in chaos. I felt the room tilt. I was losing something even more than I had already lost. What could he possibly know that would change everything? My mind raced. Was this man a grim harbinger of more bad news? Or did he hold the key to my desperate prayers? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the noise subsided, I felt the stranger's grip tighten, grounding me in a reality I was desperate to escape. "You need to listen to me. Your daughter's accident, it wasn't random." His words pierced through my chaos like a lightning bolt, igniting a fire of dread in my gut. "What do you mean? What are you saying?" My voice was a strangled whisper, barely able to contain the tempest of emotions raging within me. "Please, just come with me. There's something you need to see, something that can help her." His green eyes shimmered with urgency, but alongside it was a flicker of something darker, something that danced at the edges of my understanding fate. A cruel joke, or perhaps a thread of hope interwoven with despair. I wanted to refuse, to retreat back into the familiar agony of the sterile waiting room. But something in his tone pulled me forward, as if he were holding the missing piece of a puzzle I hadn't known existed. I glanced back toward the nurses, their faces now calm, but their eyes heavy with the weight of secrets. What could possibly be happening behind those closed doors? "I can't leave her. She needs me," I managed, the words tasting bitter. Your presence isn't helping her right now, he said, his voice low but firm. Time is of the essence. I promise I will explain everything, but we need to act quickly. With my heart hammering against my ribcage, I took a shaky breath and nodded. I didn't know where the stranger would lead me. All I knew was that I was desperate enough to follow. He turned, and I followed him down the dimly lit corridor, the harsh fluorescent lights flickering above us. As we walked, I was consumed by an endless loop of what-ifs. What if he was wrong? What if we were too late? My thoughts spiraled as images of Lily filled my mind. Her laughter, her joy, every innocent moment overshadowed by looming uncertainty. That we stepped into a small, unmarked room where the air felt heavier, thick with tension. It smelled faintly of antiseptic and despair. The stranger closed the door behind us and turned to face me, a mix of determination and apprehension in his gaze. Your daughter wasn't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. She witnessed something that could put her in danger. My breath caught. What? What are you talking about? He hesitated, as if choosing his words carefully. I can't go into details right now, but whoever caused her accident, this wasn't accidental. They don't want anyone to know what she saw. If you don't get her out of this hospital, they might come for her. Panic clawed at my insides. I could feel the walls closing in around me, cutting off the fresh air I desperately needed. You think someone is after her? His silence answered for him. I could see it in his eyes, the darkness of the world he was implying, a layered menace lurking just beneath the surface. When had my life devolved from mundane struggles into a twisted nightmare? Why should I trust you? I demanded, my voice trembling, certainty slipping through my fingers with each passing second. Because I was sent to help you, he replied, urgency flooding his tone. I can't explain everything now, but you need to make a choice. Existing in this moment isn't enough for her. You need to fight for her, but fight how? The walls of the hospital felt like they were closing in around me, each second stretching into an eternity. What if I walked away from the only person who still fought for me in my life? The rhythmic beeping of medical machines from the other room broke through my chaotic thoughts, reminding me that Lily was still out there, alone and vulnerable. The weight of my daughter's life pressed down on me like a physical entity. With a strangled cry, I raked my hands through my hair, desperately trying to steady the whirlpool of anguish within. What do I do? I rasped, my voice cracking under the weight of fear and desperation. Listen closely. They'll get you both out, I swear it. But you cannot hesitate. You need to stay alert. Promise me you'll trust your instincts from here on out, he urged, his eyes locked on mine. Wherever this journey led, I was on the brink of uncharted territory, the stakes higher than I ever imagined. And even as dread tightened its grip around my heart, a flicker of hope whispered through the noise. I was a father again, fighting for my daughter's life, and somehow, in that messy reality, I felt a spark of determination ignite. Just as I was about to respond, the sound of running footsteps echoed outside, a frantic energy charging towards the room. My heart raced. Someone was coming to go, the stranger urged, and as I turned towards the door, I felt the ground shift beneath me, not just in the hospital, but within the essence of my life, as if I was stepping into a new chapter unprepared for what lay ahead. I burst from the room into the corridor, adrenaline surging through my veins. Behind me, I could hear the stranger's voice urgently calling something, but all I could focus on was the tantalizing thought of saving my daughter, of pulling her from the shadows that threatened to consume us both. Just as I rounded the corner, everything froze at the sight before me. A figure stood in front of the nurse's station, a familiar silhouette, cloaked in shadow, the very last person I expected to see. The weight of my world tilted again, filled with newly unveiled questions that twisted into a singular piercing thought. In a world already spinning out of control, had I unknowingly walked into a darker conspiracy? I blinked, my insides churning as recognition seized me. It was Alice, my late wife's sister, her presence here a ghost from my past I thought I had locked away forever. She looked older, lines of worry etched into her face, but her determined stance held a strength that startled me. Our eyes locked, and in that moment, the air became electric, charged with unspoken memories and unresolved anguish. What are you doing here, Alice? I demanded, torn between disbelief and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. This was not a reunion I had ever steeled myself for, Certainly not under these conditions that I came to check on Lily. You left without even saying goodbye, she replied, her tone a mix of hurt and determination. I couldn't let you go through this alone. The words hit hard. I had spent so much time pushing everyone away, grappling with a grief that wouldn't let me breathe, and here she was extended family who had every right to share in my daughter's pain. Anger flared up, rising out of the depths of my fear. I don't need your help. Stay out of this. I snapped, the heat of my words melting away the fragile shield of vulnerability that I had only just begun to lower. Flooded by emotion, I felt like I was standing on the precipice of an abyss. One false step, and I could plunge right back into the pain. But Alice stood her ground, her expression unwavering. You're wrong. You do need help. It's not just you against the world anymore. Lily needs both of us, now more than ever, for an agonizing heartbeat. I hesitated. Could I really trust her? Given everything we had faced, I found myself on the edge of opening a door I had fortified as impenetrable. But just as I was about to respond, the urgency in her gaze broke through the noise of my swirling thoughts. They're coming. We have to go. Now, she urged, her voice sharp enough to cut through my hesitation. Before I could misunderstand her intention, she motioned me closer, subtly scanning the corridor, her instincts honed to the danger we both sensed. I opened my mouth to argue again, but the echoing footsteps resounded louder, filling me with a newfound apprehension. Please trust me, she whispered, as if sensing my internal conflict. There was genuine concern in her eyes, something I had never taken the time to see. I felt the heaviness of every moment lost to bitterness and pain. Could we break this cycle together? Then, as if in answer to the question I dared not vocalize, the stranger emerged from behind me. His face was stoic, the urgency now morphed into an authoritative calm. We need to go. You can explain later, Alice. Right now, she is our priority. With a deep breath, I nodded, the past clashing violently against the present. There was no time to linger on old resentments or fears. We were entwined in this chaos, guardians to a girl whose innocence now pulsed with an uncertainty that no child should ever have to endure. We moved quickly, huddling together as we made our way down the sterile corridors of the hospital. Each footstep echoed a fragility in my heart that I had not felt in years. The familiar scent of antiseptic and the distant sounds of distress merged into a haunting symphony. I was a father, a protector. Yet, I couldn't shake the sensation that danger was stalking us from the shadows. Where are we going? Alice asked as we took a sharp left, a turn I recognized from our previous journey through the hospital. The emergency exit. It's monitored, but I have credentials that might allow us a safe passage, the stranger replied, his voice steady and calm, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling around us. Credentials? Who are you, really? I shot back, every instinct in me still screaming at the possibility of trusting a stranger entwined in my life's darkening thread. I can't tell you everything right now, but I swear my intentions are to help you. I lost someone I loved too. I would do anything to prevent another family from feeling that pain, he said, his sincerity stung with undertones of personal grief. I could see it written in the taut lines of his brow, just as I started to feel a fragile camaraderie forming in that moment of shared anguish. A loud crash atop the stairwell rang like a church bell, startling us from our fleeting bond. The noise of frantic footsteps surged, growing nearer, muddled voices threatening our next move. We're out of time, the stranger said, urgency rising. We sprinted toward the emergency exit, taking the metal stairwell two at a time, the clattering of our shoes mingling with my rapidly beating heart. The door loomed ahead. Anxiety twisted in my stomach. But within the churn was now a sliver of hope. Maybe we could save her. Maybe, just maybe, we could reveal the truth behind the darkness closing in on us. Suddenly, just as we reached for the doorknob, another figure appeared at the base of the stairs, a man in a dark suit, holding a weapon, his expression cold as steel. Stop right there, he shouted, voice echoing ominously in the stairwell. In that moment, the weight of my choices shackled me. The truth of my situation manifesting in a chilling clarity. We were cornered, and I could feel every fiber of my being screaming for me to protect my family. But an even greater fear gripped at my heart. In our bid for escape, had we stepped too deep into a pit we would never claw our way out of? With nowhere left to run, The realization struck me like a stray lightning bolt. This conflict wasn't just a fight to save Lily. It was a battle against forces far larger than we had ever imagined. A revelation spurred inside me, dawning with the weight of 100 memories. The light of truth could illuminate even the darkest corners of our lives. But would it come in time? I hesitated, surveying the man blocking our exit, the imposing figure radiating a sense of power that gripped my throat and sent tremors through my heart. His weapon felt like an extension of him, cold, unyielding, and utterly merciless. The tremor in my spine caught me off guard. I had anticipated confrontation, but not like this. My instincts roared to life, fighting back against the paralyzing fear. All of a sudden, it was no longer just about escaping. It was about protecting Lily and Alice, and the flickering light of hope I dared to cultivate. Step away from them, the man commanded, his voice dangerously steady. This is not where your story ends. Not yet. Who the hell are you? I demanded, forcing the words past the constriction in my throat. How could I stand strong when every ounce of my being wanted to shatter under the weight of his stare? Someone who knows more than you realize, he answered, his smirk casting a shadow over my unease. But right now, your daughter is in serious danger, and you need to decide if you're willing to do what it takes to save her. Stay back, I shouted, the words tumbling from my lips in a desperate attempt to project strength. Alice had instinctively inched closer to me, the fear radiating from her palpable, her eyes reflecting my turmoil. I couldn't let her see my uncertainty. Not now. He knows something, Alice whispered, her voice trembling. But in that moment it was the flame I needed to stoke my courage. I sensed a bond forming not just with her, but woven into the air. We were seeking a common thread, a shared purpose woven through our pain. Your daughter's ties to this situation are deeper than you know, the man said, taking a step forward, his weapon unwavering. And I'm here to help you understand that, but you have to trust me. For her sake. The air hung thick with unshed tears, and for the first time, I felt my heart sink under the weight of a choice I didn't know was ahead of me, a choice that involved unveiling truths I'd buried alongside my wife. Lily needed me, and this was no longer just my battle. I felt the pull of ancestral connections, the sisters, the lost family. I wouldn't let Lily pay the price for my indecision anymore. Before I had time to fully process the gravity of what I was about to say, I heard myself reply, "What do you know? For the sake of my daughter, I want to hear it all." In a heartbeat, the man glanced at Alice, and then at Lily's door, a mixture of understanding and urgency flashing across his face. "You'll regret this, but I promise you, at the end of this treacherous path lies the fate of your family. Time is running out." What was he saying? My thoughts tangled together, fraying faster than I could grasp. I wanted to view his offer as a lifeline, but the shadows around him glimmered with danger. But the flicker of hope ignited within me felt impossibly strong. I couldn't turn away now. I could hear Lily calling out for me, though her voice echoed only in the depths of my memory. Just then, an alarm blared through the building, a frantic cacophony of sound that merged with my spiraling thoughts. The man edged backward, keeping the weapon trained on us, his expression shifting slightly. "This wasn't supposed to happen. We have to move. They'll be here." He shot a glance at Alice, a silent agreement crackling between them. I held both of their stares, both partners in a struggle against unseen forces, my heart racing with the realization that my life had spiraled out of my control, leaving me grappling. "I am trusting you. You better not be lying to me," I said, my voice steadier now as I turned back toward the exit. I could see Alice's face softening, the weight of our collective past lifting, forging the tentative bond we had started to build in the midst of chaos. As we pushed forward amidst the clamor, I felt anger bubbling in mad defiance against the cruel twist of fate that had landed us here, facing down an adversary who knew too much. I was a father in crisis, navigating my way through the maze of haunted memories. But as I looked at Alice, the shreds of our connection woven through shared grief simmered to the surface, reminding me that we could share the burden, one step at a time. The stranger led us past an intersection, taking careful steps through abandoned hallways, my heart hammering against the swelling fear. I stole glances at Alice, anger coiling in my chest, not at her, but directed at the circumstances that had spiraled beyond comprehension. We were part of this unfolding story, and every misstep felt perilous. Stick together, the man advised sharply, glancing back at us. Justice or morality didn't seem to sway him, but there was something therein urgency that distracted me from my grisly thoughts. What you discover will change everything. Our footsteps echoed down the corridor, but still, I felt the chill of dread latch on, a reminder that shadows from the past would never stay buried for long. As I pushed through that threshold leading us deeper into the unknown, the weight of a truth surged in me, one that both reminded me of my failures and my capacity for growth. Then, a sudden jolt stopped us in our tracks. An electric shock raced up my spine. I turned sharply to see Alice, her face pale, eyes wide. She pointed toward a door marked confidential at the end of the corridor, the metal dented and rusted. Is that? She started, her voice trailing off in disbelief. Yes, the man replied curtly, a furious glint in his eyes. And if we can't get what's inside, we're out of options. But you need to understand the cost could be higher than what you're willing to pay. The truth is simple, aching reality of it twisted like a knife. My heart thundered as I contemplated what lay behind that door. Was it the light I sought, or a new abyss born from buried secrets? With a single decision, I was no longer just a father fleeing danger. I was a man caught in the storm of my choices, the shadows that threatened to consume us, and the possibility that hope could still prevail. We can do this together, I said, a new determination coursing through me. But would I have the strength to face what awaited on the other side? And as we moved closer to that door, a chilling realization sunk, and it was not just my family's fate hanging in the balance. It was my very soul. The door loomed like a sentinel of untold stories, the weight of it pressing heavily against my chest. I could feel Alice's tremors, the air thick with her uncertainty, as we stood poised at the edge of revelations that might tear us apart or stitch us back together. I thought of Lily, her laughter echoing in my mind, and it steadied my resolve, but deep down, an unsettling dread twisted in my gut. Do you trust me? The man asked over his shoulder, his voice a low rasp, eyes darting between us and the door. Alice hesitated, chewing her lip. You said it's dangerous. You're not clear on what lies behind this door, because I don't fully know, he admitted, something vulnerable creeping into his tone. But it's part of your journey. I stepped forward, my hand trembling as I reached for the handle. Every nerve in my body protested, a cacophony of fear and desperation. If it's meant to save Lily, it might not be as simple as that, he interrupted, urgency coloring his words. Whatever comes next could unravel everything we've fought for. Are you ready to face the possible consequences? Let's just go, Alice pleaded quietly, her wide eyes betraying the fear of what was to come. The weight of her gaze locked onto mine, and in that fleeting moment, we were more than a father and daughter. We were two souls entwined by loss, awakening from the cocoon of sorrow. Steeling myself, I nodded at Alice. Together, with a guttural breath, I twisted the handle. The door creaked open, revealing a staircase spiraling down into darkness. The air was dense with the scent of mildew and the echoes of a history long forgotten. It felt almost sentient, whispering secrets to those willing to listen. I could feel the shadows tugging at me, searching for weakness, as a reminder that life rarely grants us what we pursue without a price. Stay close, the man urged, slipping ahead into the abyss, leaving Alice and me no choice but to follow. Each step descended brought a chilling realization. The deeper we went, the closer we drew to uncovering the tangled web of my past, the answers to questions I had buried long ago. I don't like this, Alice murmured, her voice small against the haunting backdrop. I grabbed her hand, feeling her warmth, a lifeline tethering me to sanity as the darkness enveloped us. Winding further down, the glow of a faint light flickered like a dying star. The staircase opened into a cramped room, its walls lined with files, papers scattered across a table, old photographs illuminated by a single bulb swinging from the ceiling. My heart raced, a rapid-fire pulse urging me to explore yet dreading what I might uncover. This is it, the man said, his voice tinged with something close to reverence. Everything you need is here. I approached a stack of files marked confidential, my fingers trembling as I grasped the first one. A photo slipped out, an image of a young mother cradling a baby, the resemblance to Lily so striking it stole my breath. My pulse quickened, and before I could collect my thoughts, the weight of 1,000 questions crashed down on me. How could she be tied to this? Was it a secret that could save her, or one that would undo everything we held dear? Look, Alice urged, pointing at the wall behind the table. There, framed amidst the chaos, was another photograph this time. An older blonde woman stood beside my wife, their faces glowing with happiness. Something stirred in the pit of my stomach. The woman was familiar, yet an unsettling haze clouded my memories. Do you know her? To think I do, I muttered, a prickling sensation coursing through my veins, memories of laughter and comfort splintering through the fog of loss. The deeper I probed into my recollections, the more I felt the fabric of reality beginning to fray. Just then, the door behind us slammed shut with a deafening thud, plunging us into silence that felt suffocating. The man turned sharply, panic flickering in his eyes. What was that? Chains rattled. A faint whisper of voices echoed from the stairwell. An icy dread gripped me, realization dawning that our time was slipping away fast. We need to hurry, I urged, adrenaline sharpening my conviction. What if Alice's voice cracked, fear surging through her? No what-ifs. I snapped, finding it hard to keep the thread of panic from unraveling me. We need to discover the truth, Alice. It's why we're here. I resumed, rifling through the papers, the frantic energy charging through the air. I felt alive amidst the frenzy, desperation morphing into fierce determination. If my past could offer a chance to save my family, it was a risk I was willing to take, no matter the cost. Then, as I pulled open a folder, I found a piece of paper with a name that struck me like a lightning bolt across the chest. Angela Monroe. A name I hadn't spoken in years, surfacing from the depths of memories I thought I had buried forever, mixed with whispers of family secrets that nearly devoured me. The connection to Lily coiled tighter around me, confusing and definitive. Before I could surf the wave of clarity that accompanied that name, the door behind us crashed open, the figure of another man standing silhouetted in the doorway, his expression cold and jagged. You are out of time. Panic transformed into a palpable force, and the reality that the fight was far from over sent a wave of icy dread through me. I opened my mouth to shout a warning, but the man already surged forward, eyes ablaze that I in that moment. I understood the truth, however painful, was our only escape, but it was also the very thing threatening to unravel our fragile existence. The burden of choices made was heavy, but I had to believe there was something worth conquering for on the other side of chaos. As darkness closed in, encasing us in unyielding fear, I felt a surge of something raw and untainted, a determination burning brighter than the shadows. And in that breathtaking instant, I realized the greatest truth was not in what we would find, but rather in what we were willing to sacrifice for the ones we loved most. As the blinding light from the drawer faded, I stumbled back, narrowly avoiding the figure that had lunged at me. In that same heartbeat, I grasped a small, weathered journal, its leather cover cracked and heavy with dust. The compelling aura of potential that radiated from it sent shivers rippling down my spine. Grab that, Alice shouted, urgency coloring her tone as she peered over my shoulder. There was no time to weigh the consequences of opening it. I could already feel the oppressive presence of the man closing in. With trembling hands, I yanked the journal from the drawer and turned it over. I could hear Alice's frantic breathing, but was focused on the faded words inscribed inside. It was a collection of reflections, Angela's reflections. Each line unfurled memories both comforting and heartbreaking, stitching together the tapestry of a life that intertwined with our own. There's something here, I stammered, my heart racing as I thumbed through the pages filled with Angela's flowing script. Each word resonated like a missive from the past, painting a picture of secrets kept beneath layers of love and loss. The words hinted at a hidden truth. They spoke of fear and a need to protect off children, of darkness. Let's go, Alice urged again, her eyes darting to the door just as the figure cursed and collided against the wall beside us, tearing my attention away from the journal that I pocketed the fragile book, intention burning bright within me. We had to flee, but at the same time, it felt as though answers that had long eluded us were just within reach. Angela's words began settling into my mind, layering themselves with urgency and reverence. Over here, Alice pointed toward a small window in the corner of the room, barely large enough for us to escape through, but our only option. I pushed the window open. The screech echoed against the walls, and Alice instinctively climbed up first, her small frame barely fitting through. I looked back, tethered by the echoes of the past, and the growing realization that running away wouldn't sever the ties that bound us all together. Come on. Alice's voice was muffled, urging me into the night beyond. I felt a renewed sense of purpose and fear, a desperate hope flickering amidst the encroaching darkness. My thoughts darted to Lily. What if Angela's ties to her were deeper than I ever expected? Could this unravel the truth of our existence and the threat lurking just beyond sight? Just as I hoisted myself up, the figure burst through the door, and panic surged through me like fire. I squeezed through the narrow opening, Alice reaching for me with desperation painted on her face. I landed with a soft thud on the cold ground outside, quickly rolling aside to make room for her escape. We scrambled to our feet, breaths mingling with the chilling night air as we dashed away from the looming shadows chasing behind us. Where do we go? Alice panted, her eyes wide with alarm and a flickering flame of bravery. In our disarray, I had a sudden realization revealed in Angela's journal that clutched at my heart. Oh, the only safe place we have, I breathed, the flicker of hope igniting anew. Back to the house. It was a risk, but the journal could unravel the mysteries of our bond with Angela and the truth that had been lost to time. The roar of pursuit echoed behind us, a menacing reminder that nothing was truly over. We ran faster, the breath of fear spurring us onward until we reached the edge of the woods, ancient trees concealing secrets of their own. We ducked behind a thick trunk, huddled close. I can't keep running forever, Alice gasped, her eyes darting into the oppressive darkness that loomed ahead. A pang of sorrow struck. Mesh was right. The weight of the past pressed heavily upon our shoulders, and the truth felt more like a curse than a light to guide us. But even in despair, there was a flicker of determination to uncover it. Look, I said, pulling the journal from my pocket, opening it to a page with an image tucked between the thin pages, a drawing of 3 figures standing together, one clearly resembling Lily, the others hauntingly familiar. Alice gasped, her fingers reaching out toward the intricate lines of the sketch. That looks like I know, I whispered, a sense of dread coiling in my gut, melding with the lingering hope that the pieces of our puzzle were finally falling into place. Just then, the footsteps grew louder in the distance, a final reminder that the past would not let us go easily, and the shadows were drawing near once more. Now what? Alice pressed, panic again edging her voice. Before I could respond, a rustle from the edges of the woods stole my attention, a figure emerging from the foliage, moving towards us with an air of familiarity that sent chills down my spine. Hope and fear intermingled at once, plunging us back into uncertainty. Was this a friend or a foe? Another thread connected to a tapestry that was becoming too tangled to untie. Wait. The figure called out, holding their hands up as if to comfort us. I'm here to help. As the light flickered and threatened to disappear yet again, I realized that clarity was about to come, not in the form of safety, but revelations that would irrevocably change everything we thought we knew. The darkness promised by our escape wove itself tighter around us, the shadows shifting restlessly as if refusing to allow our passage into the light. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, a frantic reminder that not only were we fleeing danger, but we were also pursuing truths whose consequences loomed over our head like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. Keep moving, Gabriel urged, his voice a fierce beacon as we plunged deeper into the darkness of the woods. The sounds of footsteps echoed behind us like monstrous drums, a chilling reminder that we weren't alone. With every twist and turn, I clutched tightly to Alice's hand, her anxiety mingling with my own, fueling a fire of determination within me. Finally, we broke through a thicket and emerged into a small clearing where the moon bathed everything in a ghostly glow. We halted, panting heavily, as Gabriel scanned the perimeter. We need to take a moment, he said, his brow furrowed in concern. We can't keep running blindly. I nodded, but fear gripped me. We might not have much time. The air around us felt electric with uncertainty, and I sensed the chaos closing in on us. Just tell us what to do next, I hissed, desperation leaking into my tone. Gabriel inhaled deeply, steadying himself. We have to find a way to communicate without being tracked. They're monitoring your movements, watching every step you take, and they won't stop until they find what they're looking for. I felt my stomach lurch as the implications settled deep within me. They were hunting for more than just us. They were after the truth, and that truth was entwined with Lily's fate, my heart, and Angela's tragic past. Were we already too late? Then, as if the universe heard my silent plea, I felt the journal in my pocket throb with urgency. What if Angela left us clues? I whispered, pulling it out slowly, feeling Alice's gaze press into me, filled with a mix of hope and fear. Maybe we can unlock the mysteries within. Gabriel's eyes lit up at the mention of the journal. Yes, we need to look closely. Angela poured her heart into those pages. There are connections hidden throughout her words, memories, truths, warnings. If we find them, we may just unveil what we need to survive. With trembling hands, I opened the journal, searching for anything that shimmered with meaning. The pages felt like warm breaths of eternity, inviting yet potent with danger. I quickly skimmed the entries, and a phrase caught my eye. Love binds more than blood. The truth is a web that can either tear us apart or weave us together. Look, I exclaimed, pointing out where Angela had drawn a crude sketch of a globe, surrounding it with handwritten notes. They flowed around the paper in jagged lines, almost like a living organism made from tangled thoughts and emotions. These places she marked them. They're not random. Alice leaned closer, her breath matching my own as both our hearts raced. Could these locations lead us to something? Another piece of the puzzle? Maybe a safe spot, Gabriel offered, his voice low. We should check them to see if there's any relevance before they find us. I scanned the drawings more closely, the words swirling in my mind. There's a marker here, I said, tracing my finger over one location. It suggests a plot of land that belonged to her family. It's remote, nestled between hills. But just as the thought settled in, those footsteps from earlier echoed through the trees again, punctuating the air with urgency. Let's move, Gabriel said, an edge of fear in his voice, and I shoved the journal back into my pocket with newfound determination. We pressed forward once more, using the coordinates Angela had sketched to navigate the treacherous woods. Each step felt heavy, the fear of being discovered weighing us down, yet an ember of hope flickered within me, reignited by the possibility of unveiling a past whose shadow loomed large over our lives. Finally, we reached the edge of the clearing, and there it was, the old cabin, decaying under the weight of time. It sat nestled in the crook of the hills, a lonely structure that guarded secrets just as old. I felt its presence resonate within me, an echo of warmth and familiarity that clawed at the deepest recesses of my heart. Is it safe? Alice whispered, glancing toward Gabriel. Is safe as it gets, I think, he replied, leading us towards the door that creaked like a weary sentinel. I pushed against it with anxious hands, the hinges groaning from disuse. Inside, dust motes swirled in the dim moonlight filtering through shattered windows, illuminating remnants of a life lived long ago. Old furniture lay draped in sheets like ghosts waiting for their moment to breathe again. I hesitated, my heart racing as I surveyed the room. This was her sanctuary. The realization dawned heavy, almost crushing. Here sat the memories of a woman torn from us too soon, and the remnants of bonds that connected us all, quietly whispering in the night. Help me search, Gabriel urged, snapping me from my reverie. Look for anything that may provide clarity, letters, old belongings, anything that could tie us to her. As we scattered throughout the cabin, I felt a strange sensation take hold of me. It wasn't just fear or grief. It was the simmering belief that the answers we sought were within our grasp. I could sense the weight of history surrounding us, begging to be acknowledged, demanding its story be told. Alice and I rummaged through drawers, peeling back layers of dust and disuse, until I found a simple trunk tucked beneath a broken window. My hands trembled as I pried it open, the hinges creaking in protest. Inside lay an assortment of belongings, photographs, letters, and a small locket. This locket, I murmured, picking it up carefully, the metal cold in my palm. It bore the initials AM and felt shockingly familiar. It belonged to Angela, I murmured, my mind racing. But before I could ponder any further, a loud crash erupted from outside, shattering the fragile peace. Someone's coming. Gabriel's voice sliced through the air with fear-laced urgency, his eyes darting to the windows, agitated and wild. Heart pounding, I clutched the locket tightly, its presence grounding me. We have to hide. Alice's voice wavered, barely masking the panic surging beneath her words. Over here. Gabriel gestured toward a hidden trapdoor behind a rotting bookshelf. We dove for it, the weight of our alarm bearing down on us as we slipped inside just as the cabin door crashed open. I felt a rush of cold fear prickling my skin, urging me to remain silent as we huddled in darkness, gripping hands tightly as the footsteps echoed above us. Search the perimeter, a voice ordered. They can't have gotten far. The words echoed painfully. This was the moment that could either seal our fate or unleash the truth hidden beneath our intertwining pasts. I could feel Alice's fear seeping into my very being. But in that darkness, the locket clutched in my palm burned with warmth, reminding me that we were fighting not just for our lives, but also for the memory of love that Angela left behind. As the shadows engulfed us, we crouched low, hearts racing in unison, waiting for the chaos above to subside. The imprint of the locket pressed against my palm, a flicker of possible revelations igniting a deeper resolve. I turned to Alice, our eyes meeting in the dark, and felt something transcend maybe, just maybe. Uncovering Angela's truths was the key to freeing us all. When the footsteps finally faded, I felt a wave of determination wash over me. We need to get back out there, to continue uncovering Angela's truths. We can't let them stop us, I whispered, heart and mind alight with purpose. With our lives intertwined in a singular quest, I realized that there was no turning back. It wasn't just about escaping the darkness, it was about illuminating the path forged through love, loss, and a fiercely tethered past. Together, we would unravel our stories, piece by jagged piece, until they shone brightly enough to dispel any shadow that sought to consume us. The trapdoor creaked as we emerged cautiously, the weight of determination propelling us back into the world above. Armed with Angela's memories that echoed through our veins and the hope of reclaiming what we had lost, we pressed onward as a united front. We would fight through the turmoil and converge the twisted threads of our destinies into something whole once more. With that resolve, we stepped into the night, ready to confront whatever awaited us, knowing that together, we could unlock even the deepest shadows, guided solely by the light of love and hope. Because in love, even the fiercest storms can be weathered, weaving together the darkest of fates into a tapestry of redemption. And as we began to find our way forward, I understood one thing above all else. No matter what the truth revealed, together, we would emerge unbroken, bound by love that would defy even the deepest shadows. My heart knew our story had just begun, and the light would never dim. The final note of faith was ringing clear, echoing out into the uncertainty, a testament to the power of resilience. One step at a time, we would uncover the truth, for it was that very truth that would lead us home.